Costa Rica. Her name is Guadalupe, and she is a wonderful musician and social activist, I would say, who supports girls and women in a lot of terrific endeavors. And we are so happy to be here every Monday to help you, artists and musicians, connect across the world. Are we ready?
Hello, Kathy. So thank you so much for opening the show today. We are waiting for Guadalupe Urbina from Costa Rica to connect. We do have some technical difficulties, but we can start talking about her. I hear her. Hola, Guadalupe, ¿nos puedes escuchar?
Sí, claro.
¡Ay, qué bueno! Bueno, bienvenida. There she is.
Welcome. It's good to see you finally.
Sí, déjame presentarte un poquito. Guadalupe Urbina is a very authentic musician, singer, songwriter from Costa Rica. She lives right now in a farm that she started with a group of people in the southern part of the country. But she has traveled the world. She has performed in Europe, Africa, South America, the United States. Mm-hmm. And she lived in Holland and also in Spain.
How fabulous.
She's an author of poetry books and children's books.
What a world traveler.
Also a visual artist and, fabulous. Of course, a musician. She has a wonderful voice and plays the guitar.
How fabulous. And I have to ask, given all these tasks you set for yourself, how do you manage, Guadalupe?
I think as much alternative you have to life can be easier than normal.
That is definitely the truth. Life is definitely not easy on a farm, as I can well attest. So you are how did you first become involved in music, and what set you off on your journey?
Well, I think musicians and artists, we are born just to do. You bring that life. It's in your genetic code. And sometimes the ability to develop it or no. I think I just began with this when I was at home, a home full of musicians, and I didn't have to do another thing than make music.
I hear you. It's one of the most common things I've seen in studying people who do music and art and performances. They've been surrounded by it their whole life, really.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. My English is not fantastic. I mean, I can speak it. It's not fluid, you know.
That's all right.
Spanish.
We can understand perfectly. Pero si te sientes bien, hemos hecho otras entrevistas donde hablamos español y yo le traduzco a Katy. Así que también puede ser esa la opción, si te sientes más cómoda.
Sí, both.
Ok, estamos teniendo un poquito de problema técnico en la conexión. Entonces, creo que si hablas más lento, quizá lo podemos solucionar de esa manera. Vamos a intentarlo. Pero sí te vemos perfecto. Entonces, sí, voy a decir un poquito. Ayer, we talked yesterday, a while. Y Guadalupe me contaba que empezó sus estudios en la Universidad de Costa Rica, in the University of Costa Rica, but then she moved to la Universidad Nacional, which is another very recognized music institution in Costa Rica that is public as well. It's a national university. Mm-hmm. And there, she wanted to study ethnomusicology, but there was not that option.
And for just people who don't know, ethnomusicology is the study of music in different cultures and across cultures.
Correct. And they usually do these studies in the field, meaning they travel the countries and they do the interviews to the people that are original creators, mm-hmm. and they have a specific methodology. for doing the research. And then they published their books and etc. But she wanted to study ethnomusicology and it wasn't available. But there was another interesting option for her. And it was a career. ¿Cómo es que se llamaba esa carrera que estudiaste en la Universidad Nacional?
Music, community
projects, music for the community. And so it was a project where she would learn everything that a musician learns, like solfege, sight singing. She would learn, take guitar lessons, piano lessons, voice, everything that a musician studies, but with the goal to go and teach all that with the community of different parts of Costa Rica.
Oh, and then you'd record the results then, I'm guessing.
So that's how she began her career.
I see. That's brilliant. You just have to be so flexible when you're an artist, I can tell you.
Cuéntanos un poquito de esos primeros viajes cuando te graduaste. ¿Dónde fuiste a Costa Rica, alrededor del país?
Well, I was especially interested. Well, can you hear?
Un poquito se corta. Pero repítelo, vamos a hacer lo mejor que podamos.
Yeah, things that I have done since the beginning was just to work in the province where I was northwest of Costa Rica, because that I was really interested in knowing the root culture, and that's what I want. Ethnomusicology. So anyway, when I was not as that, I took my time to go to the different kind of places to collect some traditional and old songs without ancient songs, just to understand my roots. So I didn't do that like is. In me or investigate someone who research that as a professional. I'm doing that just to collect songs, songs that I belong to a culture. Because most of the music I was listening about my it was like a really hit parade of folklore. I don't know how is the sound. Is that going well?
Yes, we are still definitely here, and we are so intrigued by your story. What about the experience working with these cultures stood out for you? Do you think what was the experience you remember the most?
Yeah, one of the interesting things was to discover that we had really, the population, the old people were like book, some book. And that book was alive. Nobody was recording that. Anybody knew anything about that. Mm-hmm. Well, no, I cannot say that. They're interesting people, especially professor from the Costa Rica University, who Jorge Luis Esquivel, who has made interesting work in the whole country, collecting old songs and not only songs, but instrumental music from the tradition. So, and he was one of the person that inspired me to do that. And so the most interesting experience for me was just to find how that were my roots. A lot of kind of culture together, but one of the most interesting things was to discover that there was a music that was not exactly music coming from the Spanish tradition, mm-hmm. from indigenous tradition, a music that came from Black tradition, the African. So my province is the first place where the Black people came to Costa Rica. In the 16th century, okay. 15th and 16th century. So the first Black people came to they stayed After they were um, traveling. They were taken to the country, to Cartago, where there was a place where was a business with enslaved people.
Yes.
So, and that was very interesting. Looking at the faces of the people, look at our bodies. I never read a book about that in our history, but there were no at that moment. And when I began to talk about what is that, why we are like um, so different, why we have black, you know, in, kind of black people in our bodies,
I
the
know
phenotype,
exactly what you mean.
many of the so and began at least more than 30 years ago to work that, to talk about that, to talk every day about that. And until now, 10 years, for the first time, the government and authorities began to talk. And I can say the interesting thing for me is that they gave me that knowledge. They did not know, but through the song, through the rhythms, through the words and many things, I discovered they teach me about that.
That's fascinating. You know, her ensemble, she includes marimba. She includes sometimes the quijungo. Sometimes she has a keyboard. She's performing with the guitar and the vocals. And she definitely has done beautiful, beautiful projects around the country and abroad. And one of them I want to share with all of you. And the song is from the oral tradition, which is her research is based a lot in the oral tradition, the music that has been alive in Costa Rica, but not studied through the universities, just transmitted orally between families and the culture in the community.
Right.
So we're going to see now a little bit of this music video, Dicen Que, and Guadalupe performing with her band. Guadalupe,
Dicen que te estás casando.
tu micrófono.
Mi vida y mi tormento. Dos cosas serán a un tiempo: mi entierro y tu casamiento. Cuando a vos te 4 velas por
We didn't
delante.
see the video.
Dicen que te estás casando, mi vida, y mi tormento. Dos cosas serán a un tiempo: mi entierro y tu casamiento. Dos cosas serán a un tiempo: mi entierro y tu casamiento. Cuando a ti te estén poniendo y el anillo de diamante, a mí me estarán poniendo 4 velas por delante, y a mí me estarán poniendo 4 velas por delante. Y no digas eso, don Juan, que me voy a morir primero, y aunque me casen con otro, es a vos a quien yo quiero, y aunque me casen con otro, es a vos a quien yo quiero.
You can see Guadalupe dancing there.
That's
in the middle of the
amazing.
stage, performing.
Y adiós Ángela querida, ya yo me voy para el Brasil a hacer plata, hacienda y fama, y después vuelvo por aquí a hacer plata, hacienda y fama, y después vuelvo por aquí. Angelita se murió el día del casamiento, y don Juan, cuando lo supo, clavó un puñal en su pecho. Y don Juan, cuando lo supo, clavó un puñal en su pecho. Y así se acaba, señores, este terrible tormento. Pues no deben ser los tatas los que hagan el casamiento. Pues no deben ser los tatas los que hagan el casamiento.
It's so interesting, Kathy.
That's amazing.
It's about the tradition of the parents deciding who the daughter has to marry with.
A lot of cultures did that.
And a lot of cultures did
And they
that.
still do sometimes.
Yes, but in this story, the story does not end well because the girl died. She said, "Oh, that day you're going to be celebrating your wedding, they're gonna be doing my funeral."
Well,
And the girl dies the day they marry. So then the man committed suicide because he couldn't believe that, his wife died.
It doesn't sound like a positive thing at first until you realize that a lot of music like this is kind of what they call a cautionary tale or a way to pass on information that is not, it doesn't scare people the first time they hear it, literally. There's all sorts of oral traditions that are passed on through songs. You could tell what a certain disease looked like when you heard Ring Around the Rosie. I mean, literally, that's the kind of thing that would...
There's history in the oral tradition and a lot of information about how cultures understand their lives, about their values, the morals that they live. Definitely, through oral tradition, we can get a lot of information of how our society was before and is still in the present. And Guadalupe is a person that is completely transparent. She would say everything with no hesitation. She's super honest. And in her music, she has and includes a lot of humor.
Absolutely.
That's had help in many ways in her career.
That is fabulous. You've got to have a sense of humor as an artist.
Now, she was in Holland. What was your experience in Holland? Because she also had a group there, musicians.
First I wanted to say something about the song that you listen now, is because this is a song at the end with a kind of message to people, Here is the end of this story, because the parents, they don't have to decide who you want to marry, Okay. But this is interesting. This song comes from the Spanish tradition. Mm-hmm. This is a song that comes from the Spanish tradition, and it's a kind of popular songs called romance. The romance tradition is a kind of literary style, popular style that came with the Spanish people to my province. That's why we say bombas. The bombas are like a verse with 8, syllables?
Syllables.
Say 8 in each verse, 4 verses with each syllables in each one. So that comes from the Spanish tradition, ¿no? Y aquí se acaba, señores, este terrible tormento, pues no deben ser los tatas los que hagan el casamiento. So you were talking to me, asking me, sorry that I interrupt you.
No, perfect.
About when I went to, what was the question exactly?
Que fuiste a Holanda y tenías tu grupo allá también. ¿Cómo fue tu experiencia en Holanda?
It was a very interesting experience for me in Netherlands, because I have found there really friends and companion and partners making music. It was a very interesting experience because there were people interested in knowing another cultures and other music. That's not normal in many places, but it's possible. And I had a band of blonde people, white people playing with me these songs from my province, from Costa Rica. So it was a group called Guadalupe Urbina y sus amigos.
Wow,
It was so funny, and they were really. It has been maybe one of my most important experience in my life, living in another country, another culture, but at the same time, really having a big support from my friends. And I received some grants from the government too, to dedicate 4 years to produce music. I think it has been one of my richest part of my life, making music, and
Y cuando, bueno, si nos puedes hacer una corta historia de tu experiencia en España y luego entonces contarnos tu último proyecto, porque la entrevista, se ha pasado tan rápido que nos quedan 3 minutos, pero queremos saber más de ti. Cuéntanos de España un poquito.
Yeah, well, I went to Spain because I have been there working, making some tours, telling stories and singing. And I have received some very interesting recognition in the Fine Arts Center in Madrid. And after I went to work with a record company that has made a reproduction of my recording, call it De Todos Modos, anyway. Vos me hablas en español y yo te estoy contestando en
Me
inglés. ¿Has
encanta.
visto?
Sí.
So I'm practicing my English. It's
Very
not
good.
easy
I
for
love
me,
it.
but I can.
You are doing
So,
much better than I
that,
would do in
yeah,
Spanish, I'll tell you.
yeah, I think it has been a good experience for me. Traveling and meeting people and learning for another cultures is always something that I appreciate a lot. And I treasure that because I think it's something that has expanded the view of my life
view
and the
of your life.
understanding of life too.
Yeah. And now you have a project with Carlomagno Araya, which is a musician that is very respected here. He's a percussionist drummer, studied at the University of Miami, I think, and also was professor at FIU where I studied. And you have this project that is, what's the title of that project?
Yeah, it's a simple songs of the love of the earth.
Yes.
It's not simple songs for to love the earth. No, it's simple songs for the love of the earth. Cantos simples from the love of the earth. Cantos simples del amor de la tierra. It's like the love of the earth is singing simple songs. It's
I
something
definitely
like that.
want to listen to that album.
In Spanish, it's Cantos simples del amor de la tierra.
Yeah, they're simple songs about the love for
Of the earth.
the earth.
That's fabulous.
Fantastic. And so how is a little bit the new project, the last one that you're going to release? Because we don't have too much time, but we really want to stay connected with you. So tell us a little bit about this project that will come soon.
The new project I'm doing now?
Yes.
The name is Ensayo más error igual milagro. It's like in music, rehearsal plus mistake is equal to miracle. Life is like that. Ensayar,
Sometimes it
equivocarte, volver a ensayar hasta que logras hacer algo que está bien, ¿no? Y así es como aprendes.
Claro.
Y aprender es un milagro en la vida, ¿no?
¿Y quiénes son los otros músicos que están trabajando contigo y cómo está haciendo en la producción? ¿Cómo la están trabajando?
I'm working, one of the very interesting things that I'm working with very young musicians from my country. I mean, the oldest is now 40 years and the others are 32, 30 years, you know. I'm working with, the base of the band is a guitar player, a contrabass and guitar player too, and a percussionist from Colombia. And the others are from Costa Rica. But we are adding to this recording a cello with a Costa Rican cellist. We are adding marimba from my province. We are adding quijongos, different kind of, trying to get some different textures, but especially taking advantage of the guitars because I love guitar a lot.
Oh,
this
that's
is
one of my
a
favorites too.
recording really based in the grace and the sweetness of the guitar strings.
The strings instruments. That's fantastic, Guadalupe. So where can we learn more about you? What's your website, your social media? ¿Dónde podemos conectarnos contigo?
Yeah. You can find me everywhere. You can go to YouTube, to all the platforms like Spotify, Bandcamp, everywhere. You can write my name, Guadalupe Urbina, at internet, and I know for sure that you will find me there. I'm now 65, so it's easy to find me. I have years working on this, so you will
Bless
find
your
me
heart.
there.
That's
You're
fabulous.
everywhere on the web. That's fantastic. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate this quality time together. All the conversation I had with you yesterday as well. I will share a lot with Kathy. And let's stay connected to see what is more surprises that you bring to this world and to nurture Costa Rican culture and abroad.
And women especially. Thank
Women
you.
and girls as well. So we're going to leave the program for now with this music video. It's one of her last songs that was very famous. La cumbia de la niña. Gracias, Guadalupe. Hablamos luego. Estamos viendo tu video aquí de la cumbia de la niña. Un
Gracias,
abrazo.
adiós.
Terrific to have met you. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for inviting me.
Un
Hay una
abrazo.
niña bailando en mí con un pandero de lata, así desnuda por el calor de las tierras de agua baja. Hay una niña solita en mí, hablando con los tiquisques, viajando con las hormigas que mil secretos le dicen. Y cuando bailo sale a bailar, y si llora la consuelo y le digo que no hay nada mejor que andar de la tierra al cielo. Y cuando
Welcome
bailo,
to Arts in Motion with artist Gabriela Esquivel. Conéctate todos los lunes a las 12:30 p.m. aquí por Omega Radio.